Have you thought you have done TV a lot, right?
Yeah.
So this isn't like this new thing. But I don't, you've never called a cup race,
Right.
So this next year coming up, you're going to be calling a cup race with drivers that you just got off the racetrack with, and drivers that you've raced with for many, many years, drivers that you may personally not enjoy being around. That was not hard. It's not a difficult thing, but what was interesting, I think, for me was to go into the booth and talk positively about a driver that I had real frustrations about, right, personally.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know this guy isn't a good dude, but I got a call, hey, man, he drove a hell of a race today.
Right.
Have you thought much about that?
Long.
Right?
Long.
Yeah.
Long few years.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure that as many of those, I don't feel like there's one situation that I feel like that with any of the drivers.
Yeah.
Currently. Like there was a time when I would tell you that, man, I don't know how I'm going to say much positive about. When we were in the wars with Kyle Busch, it'd have been impossible to talk positively about Kyle, right?
Sure. Right.
And I've spent enough time with Kyle now and Samantha and Brexton, and I feel like, and I think that the driver council stuff has really helped a lot of this, and I tell a lot of the drivers this as well. It's good that you guys are getting to spend time with each other and understand each other, because that's like your dad's generation. That's the difference between how we grew up racing and how they grew up racing. Those guys all communicated with each other, and they all hung out together, and they all did things together, and then we slowly got away from all that as everybody just scattered and did all the things together. Having these meetings where the drivers all have to sit in the same room hasn't happened in years. I mean, we had some kind of half-assed driver council meetings where a few guys participated and a few guys didn't. But it's very rare that there's multiple drivers missing from a driver council meeting and an update from NASCAR. And I feel like the NASCAR driver communication, most people would tell you that it's probably terrible. I would tell you that the NASCAR driver communication is better than the team to driver communication by a lot.
Wow.
By a lot. And I think that's one thing. And that's one thing why I like to push our drivers at the KHI side of it, or any driver for that fact. Just any driver that I speak to, you have to be more informed with your team, because the drivers in today's world just are not informed well by their teams, and they get left out of a number of conversations and don't know the details, and it's as we know, there are a lot of politics with everything that happens with the RTA in today's world and the things that go on. But in my opinion, the NASCAR to driver communication is as good as it's ever been, and it's better than driver to team by a lot.
So we have a big urgency to fix the short track package, right? There's a big test in Phoenix coming up in the middle of summer or the middle of winter. There was the new tire that came to Martinsville that seemed to bear some fruit. I thought the racing at Phoenix was better this time around.
Cars were hard to drive.
Yeah,
they slipped and slid
so
around a lot.
Yeah, so I'm certain coming out of the seat and your eagerness to make sure that things get better. What are some of the what's some of the low hanging fruit there as far as where NASCAR can look, or where you think they're?
I think they're going to take a big swing at it. I think they're going to take a big swing at it at the Phoenix test and really try to wrangle the short track system back into where it needs to be, the short track package.
How big of a jump was the tire in that? The tire at Martinsville, how much looked like a good direction? How much is the tire involved in all of this?
Yeah, well, I think that the tire is definitely involved in a lot of it, but I don't think it. I think a lot of times what has happened is we go softer on the tire, and the tire goes faster and lasts longer. So then it confuses everybody. Okay, we made the tire softer. We could put more heat in the tire, but the tire went further, and the tire went faster, lasted longer, and fell off less. And so I think I think everybody is wanting to go back to the drawing board and take I think they want to take bigger swings at it, and I think they need to take bigger swings at it. The only thing that concerns me is, and you've heard me say this before, but I just don't know that there's enough power in the race car. ever since and I get it. There's way more to it than just saying, hey, we need more horsepower.
Yeah.
There's the master plan of the car to bring more manufacturers and people in. But if that race car would blow the back tires off of it and you had to think about putting that throttle down, it would change the way that you race, and it would change the way that the tires wear, and it would just change so much. Because when we went to this new style car, we got to a point at Charlotte where we were testing and everybody was out of ideas. And they're like, okay, well, just do whatever you want. So we called Doug Yates and we got a intake spacer that was bigger than the 550 horsepower that they wanted us to run, and we put 750 horsepower in it. And immediately, we went like second and a half faster on the racetrack on the scoring monitor, and everybody was like, oh, what just happened? Why is that car going so much faster? And the cars are going down the back straight, and all of a sudden here went, it's coming down the back straightaway, and that's how we wound up with power back in the car. Was we put that spacer on because you literally could not drive the cars behind each other because they were so tight. Well, that problem has consistently been a problem, and I think they're gonna take big swipes at the tires. I think they're going to take big swipes at just the whole package in general. But in my opinion, I think it'll be hard to fix it unless they go faster getting in the corner and you go slower in the middle of the corner.
With that said, I feel like for the very first time in a long, long time during the State of the Sport address with O'Donnell and Steve Phelps, they mentioned that everything was on the table, including horsepower.
Yeah.
And so, maybe there's hopefully a plan to at least try that theory at the test.
Well, think about it. When we got out of the car, they were making 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah. Today
they make 750. And you put mufflers on them and they make less.
Yeah.
So, I've just, since we had the test of putting the 550 horsepower package on the cars have just become more aerosensitive. But if they were way too fast getting in the corner and you had to get way out of the throttle and do all the things that you used to do in the car with the entry speed and the grip levels, I think it would. I wish they would just try it.
Yeah, sure.
But I know it's a massive undertaking for the manufacturers.
Yeah, and the shifting.
Well, shifting is tough when you added the fifth gear, it just made it possible because the ratios are closer together. Yeah. I think with the I don't know that you can take it away though, because could you imagine being in the middle of the corner and being at just no power at all? Yeah. Then it would be even worse. Yeah. So you're kind of caught in these weird spots with gear ratios and things like that. But if I think the engines, I think the rev limit is 8,900. I think right now is what the rule is from NASCAR. But I just think with the way that the technology and the parts and everything that we do now, I don't believe that higher horsepower would be that big an issue for the engine manufacturers, and we would take a step back on engine issues. But if a few engines blew up here and there, who cares, right?
I think that's what I don't want to break motors, but I really want them pushed to the limit. Right?
Yeah,
everything about the way I am with racing is like I want the drivers to get out and go, I got nothing left. I want the car to know, I want to know the tires, the brakes, the engine has nothing left. Right?
Yeah, the engine bills didn't go down.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, you can test for that. The engine bills have not gone down since they went to these rules because you're looking for 1 horsepower. Well, looking for 1 horsepower is actually more expensive than looking for 10.
Yeah.
Because when you're in the windows that you're in, so it really isn't cost effective to keep taking power out because you're looking for smaller increments to make gains.
That's a great point.